Hey everybody, I'm back. It's the beginning of 2017. I'm hoping that this is going to be a much better year than 2016 was. I know I've been gone a long time, like 6 months at least. I think the last time I checked in was like early June, and I think I was like, oh, I'm gonna revive my channel, and like nothing happened. It was, well, I was doing health updates. Like I was saying, I was having pain in my leg and my back, and I was having trouble sleeping and all this stuff. They couldn't figure out what the pain was. And then, come towards the end of June, I had to be admitted to the hospital because I had kidney failure. It's hard to explain, but what happened was I have cancer, and my tumor, somehow it grew in such a way, it grew to be such a big size that it cut off the passageway from my kidneys to my bladder. So it cut off the ureters, which are two little tubes that run from each kidney into the bladder to empty urine. And the tumor somehow shut those down. And so I was basically almost dead. By the time I made it to the hospital, the doctor actually told me, he said had I waited one more day to come into the hospital, I would have been on dialysis, and if I had waited like maybe another day and a half, I'd be dead. And I can, that has to be true, because the day that I went into the ER, I hardly remember anything. I couldn't walk on my own. I could barely talk. And I was so swollen that my own parents didn't even recognize me. Like, I lost like 12 pounds overnight because of all the fluid that I had been retaining because my kidneys were shutting down. And my face was swollen, everything was swollen. I ended up in the emergency room just in the nick of time, and thank God I did. So my urologist, the one that did the surgery for me, for my kidneys, he found that there was a blockage or a mass, I think is what his terminology was at the time. Actually, a doctor found me, a gynecologist found me because of where the tumor was. It's cervical cancer. I have cervical cancer. And it's not just cervical cancer, it's also spread up towards my stomach a little bit, and actually my lymph nodes, I guess, in that area. I don't know how all of that works. I've been through a lot. There's been a lot of info thrown at me. I'm not going to hold on to everything. You know. That happened in June, at the end of June. And then my cancer treatment started in August, I think, and went through the end of September. It was supposed to be 6 weeks, and they had to spread it out to like almost 8 or 9 weeks. I think a lot of stuff has happened, okay? I had radiation and chemotherapy at the same time, which apparently is a big deal. Technically, my cancer is stage 4. Was stage 4. I have no idea where I am right now with my healing and what's going on, because sometime in this month, I'm supposed to get a PET scan. A PET scan is basically what tells you, well, it's basically, they inject you with a liquid, and you get scanned, and basically the liquid goes into where the cancer is, and it'll show up on like an x-ray or whatever, basically. You know, that's not the right terminology, but that's basically what it does. So until then, we won't know. From what my gynecologist and my radiologist have told me, because they've examined me, they said it looks good. But I'm not jumping for joy just yet because, you know, stage 4. Kind of serious. If I seem kind of like nonchalant, like, oh, I had cancer, like, if you've had cancer, you kind of have to be that way. Okay, because like you can't just sit around crying and feeling sorry for yourself. I went through that. It is a very hard thing to do, to deal with. So you have to look at the bright side of things. You can't just dwell on the fact, you know, woe is me and feel sorry for myself. I did that, but you know, you just gotta get over it. I mean, I've come to the realization that I almost died. It was all just a messed up situation. The kidney failure almost killed me. But if I hadn't had the kidney failure, they wouldn't have found my cancer. And then the cancer would have killed me. What are you gonna do? I don't know. You just gotta go through it. You know, and if the PET scan comes up that I still have cancer, that it's still there, and I have to go through another round of chemo and radiation, then okay, I'll have to do that. If I have to have surgery and have a complete hysterectomy, okay, I'll do that, because I can't have kids now. The radiation, I mean, my doctor alone said that the tumor just wrecked my ovaries, so there was no chance of me having a kid. He said that tumor had probably been growing inside me for 2 years at least, because of the size it was. That's what was causing the pain I was having in my leg and in my back. And I mean, it was a total just horror show. That whole month of June, I was bleeding every day. And I was even calling my gynecologist that I had at the time, my original gynecologist. I called them and was like, I'm bleeding an awful lot. And over the phone, they were just like, well, we can't really do anything because you are bleeding. We wouldn't be able to see anything if we did an exam. And it's probably just your period. You know, that's normal. And I was like, no, it's a lot of blood and it's lasting a long time. And they're like, oh, it's just your period. Excuse me? That is not just a period. Okay? The blood, I mean, it just would not stop for days and days and days and weeks. I mean, it got to the point where the day that I did go into the hospital for my kidneys, I had to have 2 blood transfusions, and I had to have another 2 blood transfusions while I was in the hospital. Like, during that whole week that I was in the hospital. And then I had to have another blood transfusion during my cancer treatment because I just got so... I mean, that was because of the cancer treatment. That wasn't because I was still bleeding. I was still bleeding a little bit at the beginning, but that's completely stopped. I no longer have periods. I can't have children. I've never had one, and I never really wanted one, so I guess God made that choice for me. That's fine. I guess. I don't know. It's still a hard thing to deal with. I see a baby, and I want to grab it, and I can't because that's illegal, but I also can't have one of my own. And I don't really want to adopt because I just haven't really come around to that. It's only been a couple months since I've, you know, found this out for sure that I can't have kids. I'm in early menopause. I have hot flashes. At the beginning of it, I was crying all the time, but that also could have been dealing with the, you know, the cancer treatments, which were freaking horrible, by the way. Chemo. Effing chemo. Oh, I've never thrown up so much in my life. Like, I would have chemo, and then the next day, immediately, as I would wake up and literally open my eyes, I'd have to grab a trash can and vomit as soon as I open my eyes. To like, hey, wake up, good morning, you have to puke. And the horrible thing was you can't eat, you don't want to eat, everything is just disgusting. I remember I was so happy when I got down half of a like party bean burrito from Taco Bueno, and then I got overly excited and took a big bite and a sip of my, you know, slushy or whatever, and then I immediately threw that up. And it was like I maybe had eaten this much of a burrito in like an hour, and I was so proud of myself that I got that down, and then I just threw it up. It's so hard. It was so hard. I lost 30 pounds. I was about 100 pounds, and I'm 5'8". So that was... I didn't look good. My butt was completely gone. And I'd always kind of carried some of my weight in my thighs and my butt, so... Sorry. So I was kind of proud of my little white girl booty. And that was just naturally there, and it was completely gone. Treatment for me ended in, at the end of September, and I thought maybe by my birthday in, like, the middle of October I'd feel better. No. I've only really been feeling good for maybe a month. Like, even Thanksgiving, I was still having to, like, sit down all the time, and For like 4 months, I had to sleep downstairs on the couch because I was too weak to make it upstairs to my room. By the way, it looks different. I know I'm staying at my parents' house. I've been staying at my parents' house this whole time since I got out of the hospital because they're retired. They can take me to all my doctor's appointments, and there has been a lot. I am still with my husband. It's just I'm living here because it's closer to my doctor's. Where we live is at least an hour, 20 minutes away from my doctor's, and I wasn't driving because I was on painkillers. I had to be on painkillers because I was in so much pain during the cancer treatment, before the cancer treatment started, but about halfway through, it started lessening and lessening and lessening and getting better to the point where I had no pain, and I was able to get off the painkillers myself, which I'm pretty proud of. I was taking oxycodone, OxyContin and hydrocodone. That's what I was taking. I had to take both of them at the same time because I was in such pain. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up every like 2 hours in pain, and I could only take my pills like every 4, so it was like, ah. And then I'd wake up and have to puke and go to the bathroom, and sometimes it was just hard for me to get up off the couch and walk like the 20 feet to the bathroom. It was just so bad. I remember one day we left the chemotherapy office, and they always had like candy sitting at the desk, for the cancer patients and stuff, and I'd always grab candy, and I remember, those like tiny fun-sized ones, the tiny ones, like the little tiny squares of like Milky Way or whatever it was. I had one of those in the car, and luckily we always had a trash can in the car. And I ate that, and that was all I ate that day. As soon as it hit my stomach, it came right back up. And I just remember sitting in the car like, I just want to eat. I want to eat so bad. That was every morning. I'd wake up, we'd have to go to radiation. I had to go to radiation 5 days a week. Every day, Monday through Friday at like 9 o'clock in the morning. That was a butt whipping. And then I'd have to go to chemotherapy once a week. And as soon as I do chemotherapy, I was okay. And the next day is when it would start hitting me. And it was like a gradual, like, crappiest kind of feeling. It just didn't get good until like 4 or 5 days in. And then it was almost time for another chemotherapy treatment. And it was just, all of it was just such a butt whooping. Oh my gosh. By the way, I apologize. I know I have bad lighting. It's 3 in the morning. My skin looks shiny. I have moisturizer on my face right now because I'm just trying to rebuild myself after all this. I've been working out like a mad woman, trying to just feel better and rebuild my muscles because they atrophied, and rebuild, everything, and I'm trying my best, and I want to get my YouTube channel started again because I have been through so much stuff, and I feel like it would be very therapeutic for me. I'm not going to counseling, and I tried to go to counseling, but all they wanted to do was just put me on like pills, and I don't want to be on pills. I took so many medications, and I'm taking a lot of vitamins, and I'm still taking prescriptions for things, and I want to just rebuild myself as healthy as I can. I'm trying to work out all the time. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to cut out sugar because that's just cancer builder right there. I'm trying to do so many things. I'm trying to just remake myself. And I want to document this. I want to talk about this. I want to show what's happening to me and have it, even if I do have to go through cancer treatment again, at least I'll have something to show for it. So I just want to say real quick before this cuts me off again, if you have any questions about anything, about the cancer stuff, about reinventing myself, basically rebuilding myself, I'm like the bionic woman at this point. We can rebuild her. Just leave me a comment or whatever. Everybody have a really good day, good night, do whatever you're doing. Hopefully you're happy. It's all good. I'm gonna get back to working out and watching some of my Strange Addiction. There's like a I don't know, recorded like a whole bunch of episodes the other day. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, bye. Have a good day. Bye.